Yes, they go down. Yeah. A working leadership team meeting, lunch, and we have great speakers here today. I'm Nancy Bunnell, YMCA South Coast. I'm the COO here at the Y. And if we could, for the presenters too, to know your name and what agency and organization you represent. And we'll start over here and go around with Tammy. Thank you for coming. Great. Well, thank you everybody for coming. This is a great turnout. I'm going to turn it over to Alice, who's going to properly present our presenter this afternoon with a little bio and background, right?
You know, well, very short, very sweet. And Cheryl and I, it's funny because Cheryl says, where do I know where you're from? So we have to go back 20 years, but again, it's a pleasure to see you again. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Attorney Cheryl Savar. She is a senior staff attorney. I want to make sure that you don't have that happen.
Resonate with what we're talking about. Please do, just chime in. And I have a PowerPoint, and I always lose my way in PowerPoints. I never just read off them, and so I might be like a few slides behind and just forget about it, but bear with me. I guess we want to. So tobacco control, smoke-free housing, it's all over the news, right? This is, a lot of places are going smoke-free. This is an amazing trend we're seeing right now. So in the past 2 years, since the beginning of 2010, 23 housing authorities have gone smoke-free. So in 3 years, most of them in the last year. Prior to 2010, none were smoke-free. Absolutely zero. In 2014, we expect another 22 to go smoke-free across the economy. That's how fast this is happening. The same thing's happening in other types of affordable properties and also in market rate rental and condominium properties. So this is a great trend. We love this, right? We know smoke-free workplace laws really improve public health. This does too, for the same exact reasons. In fact, probably more so, because you spend more time in the home than you do at your workplace. Sleeping, but still, you're there. So this is a trend. It resonates with a lot of different partners out there. Partners in the health world, partners who are steeped in that business sort of housing, those folks too. So I want to kind of we want to go through some of the high points that we hear from our non-traditional partners, if I can bring that up. Some of the questions you'll get and how you can possibly respond to that about implementation and about enforcement. So the role of education, both for initially convincing stakeholders to transition to property, then also working with residents, right? We don't want to displace residents, particularly those who are in affordable housing and don't have the option to go anywhere. Because a roof over someone's head is the bedrock component of public health. We just want to make it a better place. Post-implementation enforcement, and then some things around disability law and civil rights, and yes, I'll talk about medical marijuana, stuff like that, just sort of questions that are out there. And Cheryl and I are just going to sort of pass this back and forth. So, the role of education. Maybe you're working with a landlord. That landlord's probably heard about this, or condominium association. Clearly your job in that position to convince the stakeholders to transition his or her property is education, right? But also very important, as I said before, is the role of education during implementation. That when people ask about enforcement, the first thing I say is, it's not the threat of eviction. It's not the warning letter that's going to help with enforcement. It's education throughout the entire process.
Chris, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
There I go. I just want to
by sort of framing why we even got to this place, why 22 housing authorities have done this. This wasn't a decision of the Department of Public Health or tobacco control advocates at all. What happened was once the smoke-free workplace law went into effect in 2004, calls started coming in to the Department of Public Health, to like Connecticut, the New Bedford Health Department, to health departments and boards of health all over the state, from tenants who lived in either apartment buildings, condos, or public housing, complaining that their home was filled with smoke. And they were getting very frustrated because when they went out to eat, there was no smoke. When they went to the movies, there was no smoke. When they went shopping, there was no smoke. When they went to church, there was no smoke. And then they come home, when they went to work, there was no smoke. Then they come home and their house is filled with smoke. And it was coming from resident tenants and other people who lived in multi-unit dwellings. And at first, what we tried to do, I know MAHB, when tobacco control had a lot of money, we actually had a science advisor, Mike McLean, some of you might remember him. And we would go to these multi-unit dwellings and see if there were ways that we could maybe get the smoke not to migrate so much into another unit. We'd get health inspectors to come in and see if maybe there was a violation of the housing code that we could sort of utilize. And we were running up against a wall, because you can't prevent the smoke, and I'm sure Chris will go through this, from seeping from one unit to another. It's absolutely impossible, especially in some of the older buildings. So this really came from tenants, not from us. And that's how we ended up here, because the people wanted us to start working on this issue. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. It sure was great at framing this. I just jumped right past that. It's very tenant-driven. And along the same lines, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, part of the implementation process for an affordable properties and market rate is a survey of residents. And every time we do it consistently, we're getting 70+% from residents saying, yeah, we like the idea of going smoke-free. So there's a lot of support amongst residents. Still, you have to do the education, right? So if I can give you any takeaway when you're working with a property that's transitioning, do as much education as you can about why the property is going smoke-free, about cessation, because it's an opportunity to quit. Even after that, during enforcement, education is definitely the key. Okay, we're largely focusing, I think, on the more affordable property side of it.